Do we have any final star ups, star downs from the game? Brought to you by Wild Fork Foods and Johnson Fitness and Wellness.
I got one for Fox. They played my own worst enemy after the Aubrey missed field goal on the way out. That was solid. That was solid work by them. It's a good song. Underrated song. Underrated song. That's my star up, actually. I got a star down for Aubrey. I think it's, I think you need to have one. I mean, the whatever that first kick was, the opening kick, they said it was the equivalent of a golfer just chili dipping it or just flubbing it, right? I don't know what that was. It was enough for a star down. Got to have one for Quinnen.
Okay, so you're not going to ding him for the 57-yard miss.
57, outdoors. It is what it is, right?
He's supposed to be perfect.
He's supposed to be. We have found out that he is not. But that first kick, that was worth. Quinnen, you can't touch a quarterback. You know when the quarterback is sliding, get away. You know better. We all know.
You should love it though. It helps the Giants win, helps draft position. That's a big star up.
Yes,
Quinnen.
absolutely. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. 4th and 10, 4 to play on your own 40-yard line, down 34-17. Why are we punting? We're on a 4th and 10 play for Joe Milton. Let somebody run a play. Why are we punting? We're down 17 points with 4 minutes to go at our own 40-yard. They don't punt. We're not punting there. That's stupid. Start out of Shotty's culture.
Oh.
All right. I mean, it didn't look like culture. It looked like a lot of selfish players playing for themselves, getting stupid penalties, getting kicked out of games. That's not a culture. I'm sick of the culture.
What should it have looked like?
Huh?
What should it have looked like?
I mean, I would look. I didn't mind the Ezeraku thing with the helmet. You're fighting, you're angry, but stupid penalties like that. I don't know. It's just dumb. It's a dumb team. It's a dumb.
Kenneth Murray's a dumb player. Star up Logan Wilson. He forced a fumble. It was nice that they let him play this week. I guess that was star up for the coaching staff for recognizing they had a rotation and to let Logan Wilson play. But yeah, other than that, no. The whole game yesterday, you have more time to think about these things, I guess, when there's not anything on the line. But it's just every single snap on defense, I was just kind of annoyed that knowing Matt Eberflus was still here and calling plays. I was just like, you shouldn't be here. You should have never been here.
What he did in that press conference before the game, I almost tweeted out the F word. I felt like with Eberflus saying, no, there's nothing I would have done differently. I felt like only someone who's trying to really gaslight and tick you off would say something like that. For Flus to sit up there and say that, the amount of stubbornness, and that drove me insane. And I was mother effing my computer reading that. Get out of here. I don't know why Nico was at the Cotton Bowl randomly the other night. Matt Eberflus can get his ass on the same Nico lift out of town and get out of here. Because for him to say that was infuriating. I don't think I would do anything different. That is why the Cowboys made a mistake in hiring him, because that was his attitude and what he did at the podium leaving Chicago when he made some stupid game management decisions. I can't believe he said it.
He got asked in February, what do you believe differently since you were last in Dallas? And he said just really changing, molding the scheme based on the players' skill sets, based on what you have. And then he was asked about Diggs and Bland. And he said, it all starts with being able to play man coverage, I believe, being able to match guys up and stay with your man and then work our zones from there. He lied. He lied in the same way that Mike McCarthy lied and said, I watched every play of the 2019 season. It's equal. And that's the thing is that when they talk about 10 to 12 days or anything else, do you need that long to figure out if you were lied to? And are you comfortable that you were lied to? Or do you feel some type of way about it? Because if you let him back, you're saying that line can slide.
Well, Jerry, right, in the pregame, or I think it was actually on, I can't remember if it was Friday with KNC or with Christy Scales, but he's like, let's not blame everything on Flus, like he told us last week. And then the follow-up was, well, does that mean he could be back? And it felt like in reading it, Jerry's like, whoa, let's not go that far. Let's not take it that far. I think that was the pregame yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think he said it also. He's been saying it everywhere. But, I mean, I know there's this whole bunch of concern from people going like, why hasn't it happened yet? Why? First off, they never do this. They never fire somebody the day after. Every time they've made a move, it's always been like 4 days after the season.
At least. We will not be here on Monday with Matt Eberflus employed. That's my prediction.
That's the thing, is that if you go back and look,
next Monday.
Jerry has never talked this way about somebody this consistently over the course of 4 weeks and had them return. They've never come back. So there's been no whispers that it's already done or anything else. It's the expectation. I would be so stunned. It would be the biggest break from Jerry's history to bring somebody back after talking about him like that. He's not going to be here.
More stunning than trading Micah, where we're like
way more. It's to me that this would be like on a level of you traded Luka in terms of how surprised I am that somebody thought they should should be what they should do.
The only thing that would cause me hesitation is he does have another year, and Jerry would have to pay him to sit on a beach, and we know that Jerry has been loath to do that.
Yeah. But I think
there was offset language, though, too, from him getting paid in Chicago.
Brian Schottenheimer,
yeah.
Overall season thoughts on the defense and Eberflus.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as you look at the way the game went today, I mean, we put them on a short field and the time of possession got kind of flipped around. But, again, we're going to look at everything. And, at the end of the day, we didn't win enough games. And that starts with me. I'm responsible for that. And that's where we'll start.
Is there a case to be made, Brian Schottenheimer, for Flus to be back?
Yeah, again, the case is going to be the case that's made when we look at all the stats, we talk through the issues, we get through the exit interviews with the players, and again, I've said this many times. Flus is a really good defensive coach, and but we're going to go through the process, and that's with everybody, starting with myself and to Clayton and to Nick and to Flus and the players, and you take this time that you have now. We have time. And the players understand that, we're going to have these meetings and there's going to be a lot of, real hard conversations in a good way. We try to give them feedback and they give us feedback. That's important. But, at the end of the day, until we get all that information, we can't prioritize what we need to fix and more importantly, how we're going to fix it.
That's no. That's a long way Brian Schottenheimer saying no. There's not a case for him to be back. Because is there a case to be back? Yeah, look, the case to be made is the case to be made when you look at statistics. What does that mean? He usually has such a clean answer. He can't. And Archer was the one who asked that question. It's funny because Todd started off and he goes I guess there's not a way to ask this other than just sound really blunt. But what's the argument to bring him back? And you see him kind of stumble through that. And again, I think words are the way he uses words, the way any of these coaches or players use words can really matter, what they aren't saying. And again, he says he's a really good defensive coach. He won't say anything about him being a coordinator. He's lately shifted his because early in the season he kept saying he's a good defensive coordinator. He shifted it lately to say he's a good defensive coach. And the way that he just basically said everybody's up for evaluation. Well, that doesn't sound like a case to be made at all to keep him here. Whereas I think if you say, what's the case to be made for Clayton Adams to return, you can really easily start spitting some stuff out, and he couldn't do that with Flus.
We have not done a show with Trayvon Diggs as a member of the Green Bay Packers. So they are the only team to put in a waiver for Trayvon. He's wearing number 28, and some of the numbers that came out, they're celebrating Diggs in Green Bay. That's the state of the corners with the injuries and the tackling that they apparently have had there at Lambeau. Diggs in the debut, and the Green Bay loss to Minnesota, 2 targets, 1 forced incompletion, 1 catch, 4 yards allowed, 3 tackles, 45 passer rating.
Which, by the way, Next Gen Stats have him allowing 18 yards on the pass that he gave up. So the Packers fans are all wanting to aggregate from PFF or whoever else their dumb way of doing things. But I saw a couple plays yesterday. He looked like Diggs to me. It just looked like it was against the Vikings.
Yeah, Dan Rogers had tweeted out how far off he's going to play, where he is when the ball is caught. It looked no different. It was just one play. I didn't sit there and pay attention to that game.
Next Gen Stats had his average coverage separation, not target separation. His average separation in coverage was 6 yards.
Choppy, you have not had a chance to comment on the Trayvon Diggs drama and the way it all ended up here and going to the Packers.
I don't care that he goes to the Packers. I think he's a average at best player at this point. I think it was time. It was time to move on. They were going to move on anyway, I think, in the offseason. And the old, if you're going to do it now kind of thing. That whatever will be done eventually must be done immediately. The old the AD at Florida said that, and Henry Kissinger said that. Everybody has said that line. So I didn't have a problem with it. Do I have a problem with the situation coming back from D.C. on the team plane? look, rules are rules, man. You got a team rule. You go out there, you got to tell them prior. If you don't tell them prior, however long the notice is, whatever the team rule is, whatever the team expectation is, that's what you got to follow. If Shoddy had allowed it, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But I also think that you can't expect him to just say, yeah, go ahead. Like, if you don't follow the protocol of the company, I don't think you can really have a major issue with it.
Well, it's like I said last week. If it was Wednesday and I wanted that Friday off because my parents were coming to town, I can't.
You can't. You can try. Yeah, they offer to you.
The protocol here is 2 weeks before vacation.
2 weeks,
unless you're Mike Bassick.
Right.
2 weeks before. Otherwise, I didn't plan and submit the paperwork the way I was supposed to. It doesn't matter whether my grandparent or mother is coming.
Right. Now, and if they let you off, then fine.
Yeah.
But if they don't, I don't think you can get mad about it.
Schottenheimer said Diggs asked him to stay in the D.C. area after the game. Schottenheimer declined. Diggs stayed. Shoddy said other players asked the same and were told the same. Quote, it was one of many factors. It was not the only factor. I'm not the Grinch that stole Christmas. I love Christmas. I love my family, but at the end of the day, we have a protocol that we go through, and the process was not followed. We go up as a team, and we come back as a team. Trayvon decided to make a different decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Trayvon approached it the way he's approached everything else here the last 2 years. That's what he did. And so is it like I'm honestly a little surprised they didn't tell him fine. Like, sort of thing I was joking about with Flus yesterday, just because they're annoyed with him. Like, yeah, sure, fine, stay back. We don't want you on the plane. Or we don't want to deal with the headache.
But then with everyone else who makes that request, you got to allow it.
Yeah, now they could have said, look, it's Christmas. We're going to grant all these requests. It's Christmas. You know, you got to hear. It's because what does it really do? It's an extra 6 hours.
It was Christmas Eve. I thought I was off on Christmas Eve this year. I wasn't. Like, I thought I put in for it, and then I went back and looked and realized I hadn't. I realized on Monday I hadn't. I had 2 days, and I still was like, well, that's too late. I can't get it off now. Like, and so, because that's the way, I can't just all of a sudden, I'm going to go like, by the way, find somebody to cover for me on Wednesday because I forgot to ask you earlier.
Right. Jerry Jones, for the first time, was asked about Trayvon publicly by the KNC Masterpiece on Friday.
Did you get the sense that Trayvon Diggs loved football, and did he love the Dallas Cowboys?
Listen, I thought Trayvon had one of the most impressive beginnings in pro football and with the Cowboys that I've ever been associated with. And I personally think that there's things that Trayvon did back when he first came in the NFL that he physically has been compromised with to do.
So that is Jerry saying publicly what Bobby has heard and many people have kind of known behind the scenes. This, I think, first and foremost was a physical thing. Like, Trayvon sold to them that he was better off physically than he actually was. And then all the other stuff was an annoyance. But it basically came down to you are physically compromised. You can't turn and run the same. Brad Sham dropping a little bit of insight and fire yesterday on the official pregame show, only heard right here on the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
This is the truth, and a lot of his sycophants don't want to say it. Oh. Diggs began to orchestrate, not intentionally, but Diggs began to orchestrate his departure from the team 2 years ago when he had the first big knee injury, and he did not rehab here with the team staff, and they didn't like what he did in terms of his rehab. They didn't think he worked hard enough. They didn't do the things he... Now, were they right or wrong? I don't know, but they're the boss. Yeah. They're the ones writing the checks. And frankly, I think that they think that Al Harris babied him a little bit and did the same thing with Kalen Carson last year. And... that's one of the reasons that they let Al Harris leave, not the only reason, or that maybe Al wanted to leave. Sure. But your question's about Diggs. Diggs started to separate himself 2 years ago when he just wouldn't do what they wanted to do. They've got a lot invested in him at that point. Yeah. Just, they're entitled to say, this is the plan we want you to follow. And he didn't want to follow that. And so that's when the fissure begins to develop. And then it happened again last year, same thing. And then with all of the Parsons stuff, they're joined at the hip, and they're talking. And so whenever Micah got butt hurt, Diggs got butt hurt. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
No one else will want to. His water carriers won't want to say it, but that's a fact. And so by the when they traded Micah, and then his knee wasn't right, and then he's got the concussion, and he hasn't been physically healthy to be able to be the Trayvon Diggs, Eric, that we would have missed. And he hasn't been that guy in 2 years.
Brad Shan on the pregame show.
Gone off. I think that's right. I think that's pretty much everything that they had issues with. And then in addition to that, I think it's also just, like we've talked about, he came back a different player. He came back a different person, or a different personality type. The demeanor was different when he came back from rehabbing, and they felt like he lost an edge.
Now, is Green Bay a heavy zone team?
Green Bay will play a lot of zone. Yeah, I mean, the league is a heavy zone league. But, I mean, the reality is that he yesterday, like a lot of what I was seeing that they were playing yesterday, they were playing off-man, like, prevent zone coverages, essentially, and just having Minnesota run the ball in what was ultimately a meaningless game. But he's a guy who, his numbers say he's been better in zone throughout his career. That's man coverage is where he's given up way more of his touchdowns. Now, it's also easier to gauge who gave up what when somebody's in man. But, I mean, this is just, his whole process changed. He was no longer the guy who was going to be chippy at practice. You were lucky to get him at practice. He would leave team meetings early. He would just float in and out of the facility during the practice week, and people were tired of it.
Trayvon said Micah told him things are different in Green Bay than in Dallas. Quote, he told me, it's work. It's a lot different. He said, I'm going to like it a lot, and I'm going to enjoy it.
I don't know if there have been two players in Dallas recently who want it to be less about just football than those two, though. That's what I don't get. Like, you can say, you get to focus on your work here. Really? Because you guys, like, Micah wants to do the podcast, and that's fine, whatever. You want to do all these different things. You guys have never been the, I just want to focus on football, don't have cameras around me guys.
Right.
I think it is like, there's some of it that feels like when you're here, you want to be in the limelight. Like you want to, because you want to accentuate.
Micah Parsons benefited greatly
Absolutely.
from the star, and vice versa.
And Micah knew it. Micah would always talk about it. And Micah, I think, just got to a point where he obviously dug himself a hole and couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, when people were putting out like next-gen numbers on Trayvon over the weekend, well, Micah responded to a few different things. He had time. He has time while recovering from injury. But Eberflus is basically... Did Eberflus admit that he disagreed with the Micah move in that press conference, Bobby?
I don't think that's exactly how he did it. He said, we thought we were going to have somebody here, or pass rusher here, who didn't end up being here. I can tell you, like, Flus is one of the guys who gave them the thumbs up, like, yeah, we'll be good. So Flus 100% told them they would be fine.
When Flus is like, things are different when you lose all-pro pass rusher, Micah responded to that with a bunch of emojis. Then Cowboy fans go at him. Then he basically is like, hey, Jerry Jones slandered my name around here for months. What do y'all want me to do? I'm going to go ahead and comment if I want to. And I was at Dave & Buster's, and they have a $5 margarita special on Thursday, and they're very good margaritas. And I was sitting at the bar waiting for the second margarita while watching Texas Tech get shut out. And I just saw Micah's tweet, and he's going off, and I just had enough of it. And basically said, just tell everyone your role in trying to play Jerry Maguire. You watch Jerry, I know you remember the Titans? Well, you can play that clip for Jerry Maguire, because I just want Micah to stop playing 100% victim, because I believe that Micah initiated the negotiation with Jerry, agreed multiple times, and then kind of stepped in it too much. David Mulligana's like, what the heck is going on? Why are you agreeing without me? I get you 47, not 40, and then things blew up. But Micah just wants to act like a 1,000% victim all the time, and I just had enough of it. Like, just admit that you didn't get locked in a room, that you didn't get enticed and lured into Jerry's office, and then Steven put up the 2x4 so you couldn't get out, because that's the way Micah has portrayed it. And I just got sick of it like that and tweeted that back to Micah. And then Dez had to stick his nose in it, of course, with his happy Twitter fingers. And he's basically like, oh, you must be taking money. You know, this is what ticks me off about Cowboys media, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So then, I'd asked Dez Bryant nicely, don't sit there and suggest that Jerry Jones writes us checks, because I would dress a little bit nicer than this. So that was Dez, of course. And I like that Dez, pops off. It didn't get ugly or anything, but that was our whole back and forth with Micah's brother and Dez Bryant off of Micah's Twitter account.
Yeah, and I still think that it's definitely shared responsibility what happened with Micah here. Like, Jerry did try to...
I disagree with Jerry's tactic in the way he negotiated. I disagree. I think that with Micah messing up, Jerry should look at a 25, 26-year-old kid and give him a pass on that.
Right.
And not capitalize on the situation. But I just want Micah to own his part with what he did in engaging, and he never has.
Yeah, I think Micah engaged more than he's publicly admitted. And Micah had these these little bit of back and forths, and I think that I still probably
I don't think Jerry should sit down with George Pickens in an office. I want to make that very clear. We can separate these things. Like,
he's gonna
talk with the agent.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that Micah has a role. I still don't think whatever we talk, and you're not saying this, but I think whatever his role was, it doesn't absolve how Jerry, I think, handled it wrong. Like it was approached wrong. And if it isn't approached that way, if it doesn't happen that way, he's probably still here. There's probably something that works out, and ultimately he's still here. But because I know Jerry's line has now been like, well, no, we needed the 4 or 5 players more than the one. It's like, no, if that didn't go sideways, you were signing him. So it was going to happen. But I mean, I'm surprised that he's still
going
wants
back
to
it?
talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised Micah's wanting to talk. I would have figured.
Are you really surprised? He loves this. He can't stay quiet either.
I would think during the week or like during like a lead up to a game against the Cowboys, maybe he'd chirp some or do something like that. Just randomly at the end of December, you're sitting at home, you start popping off a Twitter. That just seems a little. I'm surprised he's circling back, because I would think he'd be like, "Oh, I want to see him above them on this."
Jerry was asked about Micah's accusation of slander on KNC.
Well, I wish Micah the very best. Micah just got to where he outgrew our ability to pay him. And he's a great player, and he's going to make great plays. But we just couldn't afford him, and we wanted 4 or 5 players more than we did him. But he's outstanding. I understand his sensitivity and can even understand these comments. But the facts are the facts, and when you just put it on one player, that player can get hurt. And if you've got it on 4 or 5 players, the chances of all of them getting hurt are not there. And so you often don't have those players when you put that high dollar on them. That goes with the risk of
cut it off.
Putting all that
bad phone line. Jerry's ultimate end game answer is the price was 40. We weren't going above 40.
Right.
We got outpriced.
And look, he's, I believe, correct in the sentiment that, look, I get 4 players for this, and that's better than 1. Because on defense, especially on offense, maybe not, but on defense, especially, like, if I had 4 B level players versus 1 A and 3 other C minus, I'll be better off. I agree with that. I believe in that. But the problem is that they don't always do that, and it was too late in the game to do it anyway.